Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much once again for joining me. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name once again, Marvin Mukanaka. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And we'll go straight into business here. And a part of that business is to request you to subscribe once again. And talking about subscriptions, I really want to, from the bottom of my heart, just thank you, all of you new subscribers and even the old subscribers. Thank you for your support, that you are able to spend time here. They say that time is money. I prefer to say that time is life. So thank you for spending your life with me. All right, so going on into business here. The rest of the things to do, we know. As per tradition, I'll remind you, besides subscribing, please like and share these videos as far as you can, far and wide. And then also, as usual, send in those helpful comments, because this is about conversation. So today I want to focus our attention on football, what in America they call soccer. So those who are in America will get a little bit confused there, but it's football. It's the game of football. In times of war, ladies and gentlemen, everything is a tool. Everything is a tool because times of war is times of desperation. When you're agitating for change and demanding change, everything is a tool. And so we have to use our imagination to realize that everything around us is a tool. And those of us particularly who are African, but anyone affiliated to Africa, whatever skin tone you are, whatever they identify you as, and I've said that before, none of us is all those things. We're all just human beings. We can be identified by continent or nations, all right? But this, for the sake of argument, all right, because we've already been indoctrinated, like I keep saying, Africans and Africans in diaspora, African Americans, dark-skinned people in particular, all right, they are African Americans. I mean, they are Africans who are not dark-skinned. So, but this is in particular, all right, this is particularly for those that are dark-skinned, because this is where the racism mostly applies to, all right. So I believe that a time has come, and we've seen it already happening, that Africa should begin to disengage from anyone who calls themselves a friend, but they're doing the opposite. They're actually bringing destruction to the continent, or to the African people, or to black people. I'm glad that as I say this, these changes have already begun to happen. We've seen West Africa begin to disconnect from France. Those of you who keep up to date with news, global news, you know what's happening in Africa, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger. We've seen the rise of Ibrahim Traore, who is leading the West part of Africa into this disengagement from the West because of the destruction that we've seen them do time and again, coming in the name of friendship, coming in the name of diplomacy, coming in the name of development assistance and things like that, packaging things in a sweet way, but really the intention is destruction. And so the same now has to apply to football. I believe that Africa can use football very effectively as an effective tool to campaign against racism, against imperialism, against neocolonialism. The time has come for these things to happen. I believe this will happen, and I'm campaigning that it should happen. All right? Part of the reason is that we've seen Africa denied the hosting rights of the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup. It's only ever happened once, and the only reason it happened is because there was a protest. Why does Africa always have to beg for what they are rightfully entitled to? Why? Why do black people have to keep begging? And I've said this before in previous videos, that I don't understand our friends who rule the world. How that people can be begging you and even looking stupid, and you still take advantage of them. And you are the leaders of this world. So a time has come to apply different tactics, or to apply a different approach. And so this football can be used. And even as I say this, I'm speaking to even football players, former football players, future football players. And I want you guys to begin to realize that you're not just fighting for yourself. You are fighting for your children, your children's children. The Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And so this is not just about me. Each one of us should take the me out of the equation. So the me should be taken out of the picture. And as we talk, as I make this point, we should be thinking about people like Vinicius Jr. We've heard even ESPN commentators such as Shaka Hislop. They've complained about how this young man has been treated at Real Madrid in Spain because of the racism. Another person that suffered this kind of racism was Samuel Eto'o. We saw Samuel Eto'o score in a Champions League Cup final, and he was slapping his skin to say, I'm proud of who I am, because of the racism that these people constantly suffer. As much as all of these players have suffered all this racism that's still ongoing, and for that reason you even have is it a movement or program in the United Kingdom which is called Kick It Out. In other words, ending racism. But the truth is that ending racism cannot end by simply talking about things. Ending racism demands that we stop calling people black or white or anything else, brown, whatever it is. Only when we stop using those terms can we stop racism. So the program of Kick It Out, we've seen, you guys have seen this, where in the United, I think it's not just the United Kingdom now, I think it's in different leagues in Europe, where players kneel before a game. So that kind of kneeling is not going to change anything. And I don't know if these people know or do not know, but I'll be surprised if they don't know that this doesn't move the needle. It doesn't move the needle at all. It doesn't change anything because we're still calling people black. And so we go on those soccer commentary or soccer analysis in front of the TV cameras, and then we say, oh yeah, we need people to stop mistreating black people. You're still calling them black. That in itself is what funds racism, because those terms, and I don't want to go into this again, but those terms were coined to dehumanize people. And we're still using the same terms and saying that we're ending racism. To end racism, you have to go in front of those TV cameras and say there are no black people, there are no white people. That's how you end white supremacy or white privilege and the dehumanization of black, especially dark-skinned people. That's the only way you do it. You can't say, stop mistreating black people, kick it out. That's not it. That's hypocritical. And that needs to change. So now, in the wake of the fact that these changes aren't coming, despite all these promises, Africa should simply say, and this is in line with what Dr. Arikana Chombore has already said. Dr. Arikana Chombore has been telling African nations, quit the IMF and the United Nations. They're not helping Africa. And she's right. We've all seen this.
Why are we still going to the United Nations as Africans? That is a useless entity. It's not for us. The largest voting bloc in the United Nations are the African nations. We don't have a seat on the table. Why do we go there? We go to the United Nations to vote on their issues. They pay African countries. Yes. Oh, vote with us on this issue. Vote with us on this issue. Mm-hmm. We have no business going to the United Nations, period. Yes. We need to tell Secretary Guterres, thank you very much, but we're no longer going to attend United Nations. It's not our entity. Until we have true representation. Goodbye.
To their shame, we've even seen the United Nations be implicated in the stealing of minerals in DR Congo. We've seen it. Here's evidence of it.
Footage coming out of the Democratic Republic of Congo shows a downed United Nations drone that locals allege was carrying gold, guns, and parachutes. In the footage, you can see locals and soldiers trying to move the drone to an undisclosed location. Locals can be heard speaking in Lingala and Swahili, claiming that this is what the UN is doing in Congo, not protecting, but looting the country. Locals can also be heard talking about the cargo of the UN drone, saying it contains gold, guns, and some escape parachutes.
Tunaenda nayo mjini kwa ifike mkazinyonge njoo kama tunaenda na makamera na hizo nyingi ndio tuwe kama tuko nini baba kubola nao.
The United Nations MONUSCO peacekeeping mission in DR Congo has been using UAVs, popularly referred to as drones, since 2013. The UN needs to use these kinds of tools to better perform its mandate, said Hervé Latsus, the then Undersecretary General for Peacekeeping Operations, addressing journalists in 2013 during the launch of the unarmed aircraft in Goma, the capital of North Kivu province in DR Congo. The UN stabilization mission in the country, known as MONUSCO, has, among its primary tasks, the protection of civilians in the area. Recently, President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo has called for an accelerated withdrawal of the United Nations peacekeeping mission, amidst numerous anti-UN protests over its failure to rein in rebel groups more than 20 years after its deployment to the country. Many locals accuse UN personnel in the area of using civil unrest to continue looting millions from the resource-rich country.
When a United Nations truck overturned at a village in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the truck was reported to be ferrying illegally mined gold and other minerals out of the country. This event raised concern whether the UN peacekeepers in the region are there just for peacekeeping mission or for other business. UN peacekeepers in the war-torn nation is the biggest deployment of its kind in the world, but has yet to bear any fruit. It has always been a matter of discussion whether the various military deployment in the region is of benefit to the country. The West has been blamed to be funding and equipping rebels with weapons to destabilize the country to facilitate unaccountability of resources being siphoned out of the country. Follow African Politics for more.
Mali has called for UN peacekeeping forces to leave the country without delay, with the foreign minister saying they've failed to deal with the current security challenges.
The government of Mali calls for the withdrawal of MONUSMA without delay. MONUSMA seems to have become part of the problem by fueling community tensions exacerbated by extremely serious allegations, which are highly detrimental to peace, reconciliation and national cohesion in Mali.
I think that the main reason is that the situation is not changing. And Malian, including population and politician, agree on that nothing has changed in Mali. And after they pushed our French troops out of Mali, I think that the UN knew that this would happen in terms of deadlines, because if they cannot change the situation, they will have to go. And this is not surprising anyone about it, because to be honest, the UN didn't succeed really in Mali in terms of putting jihadis out of Mali, in terms of keeping most of cities safe. People are asking themselves, what are they doing there? Why they are not changing the situation? They say they are keeping peace. Okay, if you're keeping peace, can you please remove those jihadis out of Mali? They don't do it. So people believe like they are just maybe to have good salaries, to have work for people, but not really to keep Mali safer as it was before they come.
So at the end of the day, even if those reports are not true, even if that's a fabrication, look at what's happening in the West. They've asked the United Nations troops to leave because everybody, the citizens at the grassroots, are able to see these people are the ones that are actually creating problems in our countries. What a shame. And so now it's time for football players, football fans to say, look, let's disconnect from FIFA. They're not helping us. Because heaven knows why they don't want Africa to host. But I can tell you though, this is my guess. They don't want business to come to Africa. That's a development opportunity. And so if the world leaders truly want Africa to develop, like they say their friends and their development partners, they would wish that the Africa, if anything, would more often be hosted in Africa to give them business opportunities. Because the FIFA World Cup draws business. It brings business to hotels, tourism, and many other ways that I might not even know. Economic experts would even know better than I do. But at least from a layman's point of view, I know that it's big business. It's big opportunity for the nations to bring in business and contribute to development, create jobs for their people. Why don't they want this for Africa? Now, some of the reasons that have been given in the past is that they don't have the capacity to host. 2010, South Africa hosted it. They proved they could do it. There are many countries in Africa, Morocco, Egypt, Cameroon, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa itself, Botswana. All of these countries can host the World Cup. but Africa keeps being denied this opportunity. What is the reason? What is the reason? And let me remind you, and even though Africa was given an opportunity in 2010, take note of this. They took it to a nation that has been ruled by white people. Because some of you might be asking yourself questions. What has this got to do with racism? It's got almost everything to do with racism. Because how else do you explain that they don't want Africa to host the World Cup? And so as a result, Africa has been robbed to gain that status of being World Cup winners. Because you see, when you gain this status, your rankings on FIFA go up. Because you keep playing with the giants of football. So your rankings go up. So that means more teams want to play with you. That means more teams want to come to your country. And then more people can watch the soccer and the game can keep growing that way. That's development. That's how you develop the sport. And I'm speaking from a layman's point of view. Now imagine what the experts would say. Even much more. So we saw the successful hosting of the World Cup in 2010 in South Africa. And Peter Drury, if you don't know who Peter Drury is one of the English soccer commentators. He said his favorite goal of all time, I believe, is the Shabalala goal in the opening game against Mexico. It was a memorable event. But take a look at this. Look at these images. Look how beautiful this is.
My favourite football match that I ever commentated on and goal, and I'm not just saying this because I'm speaking to this audience, but is Shabalala for South Africa at the start of the World Cup of 2010.
Taylor, what's he saying? It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala! Goal! Bafana, Bafana! Goal for South Africa! Goal for all Africa! Jambu Lila, rejoice!
When you look at those wonderful images, the music, the dancing, Africa is robbed of that opportunity to market itself through this global event. In fact, this is the biggest event that I know, sporting event that I know personally. It's the biggest sporting event on the earth. So Africa consistently being denied this opportunity. And now it's time for leaders, presidents, activists, social activists to start to demand this change. That look, things are not changing. It's about time Africa took its own path. Africa, you can do it. Africans, you can do it. Black people, you can do it. And soon we'll come and talk about the NBA, because the same should happen. Because again, here, Unfortunately, we're talking about another black man who was shot and killed by police in the United States. And I'm coming to do a video on that soon to talk about that. Another George Floyd. It just doesn't stop. Africa, you can do it. Believe in yourself. You can do it. The fans, the people, the leaders, the players, this can be done. It's time to go to FIFA. We've had enough. Just like the West African countries are saying, we've had enough of France, we don't want France here. Senegal has come in, we don't want France here. Everybody is now saying we've had enough because they don't want fairness. Listen, it's not that black people don't like white people. No. They just want fairness, period. Every person that is sober-minded knows. Everybody is simply agitating for fairness. That's it. That's all they want. It's not revenge, it's not hatred, it's not anything. They just want fairness. And it's about time black people stood together and said, Africa, let's withdraw from FIFA. Just like Dr. Arikana said, let's withdraw from United Nations and the IMF. Even their own experts have talked about how IMF and the United Nations are not fair. Take a look at this.
Makes African and third world debt different from the American debt. Number one, America is never going to pay its debts. It doesn't have to. Its debts are in its own currency. We can simply print it. The African debt is not in its currency. The African debt is in U.S. dollars. Africa has to earn the U.S. dollars, and the only way it can earn the U.S. dollars is not to be assassinated for growing its own food and becoming independent and doing something that the United States does not like. The principle underlying the foundation of the World Bank is that no country should grow its own food. Africa and the third world should only grow export crops. In order to have an oversupply of cocoa and other tropical raw materials, to keep down the price, they must buy their grain from the United States or Europe, so that if they do something that we don't like, we can do what America tried to do to China in the 60s. We can sanction them. We can say, we're going to starve you. I think the most evil organizations in the world today are the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund.
So there you are. So we are at the time, and I've said this before, guys, we need to position ourselves correctly because the winds of change are blowing. We better be ready. And this is an opportunity. Using football is an opportunity to create jobs for our own people, run our football in the way that we want. Now you might be thinking, who's going to play in that World Cup? There's a lot of people that can play in that World Cup. There are a lot. You can invite teams. You can invite Brazil. They'll come and play. Just have your own CAF arrangement of the World Cup. You can invite Iran. They'll come and play. You can invite North Korea. North Korea has joined BRICS because African countries and Latin American countries are trying to find their own ways of financial survival because they keep getting strangled to death using the dollar. And they've said enough is enough. We've had enough of this. And North Korea and Russia are joining that. Russia can come and play in the African version of the World Cup. North Korea can come and play. Brazil can come and play. You heard the former president of Venezuela complain that the West don't like him. And he identifies himself as an African. He talks about how he has been speaking to the president of Mozambique, complaining about how Africa is being slaughtered and killed slowly. You see how everybody all of a sudden, it's a divine moment. You see how all of a sudden everyone is wanting to associate with Africa. It's the time. You heard the news in Japan. They're literally asking black people to go over there and have children with their women because their young population is dying. You've heard the youngest population in the whole world, the biggest young youth population is Africa. Africa is the future. In every sense that you look at it, Africa is the future. Africans, black people, you have to stand up now and lead. You have to stand up now and lead. This is not a joke. This is about life. This is about destinies, the destinies of children that are not yet born. How many more children are going to be slaughtered? How many destinies of innocent people are going to be thrown in the pit latrine? And we just stand and watch. No more. No more. It's enough. All right, let me stop myself. Let me put myself on a hang wire and chill a little bit, okay? So we'll probably do part 2 of this. But I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. This is a very, very serious conversation. And I know that what I've just said here is doable. Enough is enough, people. We cannot live in a world of injustice anymore. These people that lead the world, you wonder, who are these people? Why is it the world has resources that can sustain every single person on earth? Why do they want everything to be in their pockets? Why? Who are these people? Where did they come from? And we'll be talking about that a little bit more. Look at what's going on in Congo. And I'm preparing myself to do a video on Congo. Enough is enough. Look at how the people of Congo, young people, 5 years old, 10 years old, being made to mine minerals with their hands. We're going to be talking about Congo very soon. We're going to be talking seriously about Congo. Soccer players, especially those of you that are African, and in particular dark-skinned Africans, African Americans, let's stand with Congo. I'm coming to do a video on Congo. Let me hear your comments. I look forward to hearing from you, and I thank you for your participation. I'll see you on the next one. For now, let's go catch the day. Bye-bye.